you're gonna break into. Up on you.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C. Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calagione. It's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you're listening, hope you're doing all right. We've got a busy show scheduled for today and the rest of the week, of course, like we try to do every single week. But first, the show's being brought to you in part by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099, 845-221-4099. Show's also being brought to you in part by the Halftime Bar and Grill. That's right, man. My men and ladies down at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. Hey, man, if you like cool people to hang with, if you like drink specials, if you like live entertainment on Friday and Saturday nights, and if you like to stuff your face with some fantastic food, well, then you're going to love the Halftime Bar and Grill. Hey, give them a call, 518-792-4869, 518-792-4869, if you need directions or if you want to make a reservation. Halftime Bar and Grill, 518-792-4869. And the show is also being brought to you in part by Ringside.com. That's right, for all, and I do mean all your boxing equipment needs, whether it's a keychain or a full-size ring. And speaking of rings, they got huge discounts going on for boxing rings right now, and Ringside makes the best ring. That, as far as I'm concerned, they do. Almost $1,000 off the regular price. So if you're looking to get a ring for your gym or for your basement or for your living room, I don't know, man. You definitely order one today. Mention Billy C. Get even a bigger and a better discount. And for all of you boxing trainers or gym owners or I don't know, boxers or fans or whatever that buy a lot of boxing equipment at one time, drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and I'll get you even a bigger and better discount at ringside.com, our official boxing equipment supplier of the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. I see people are in the chat room today. Thank God. We were having some trouble with the website yesterday, and I called the hosting company, which we pay buku dollars for, and they told us that the traffic has increased drastically, which is going to result in us doing some. We have to relocate our server. I guess we have to put our that website on its own server. I guess they were sharing it or whatever the heck they were doing. So a little FYI, we are going to be scheduling that move. I don't know. I believe it's this weekend. I believe it's Friday. And so if you try to get on the website and not during the week, it might be a little slow leading up to the weekend. But if you try to get on the website over the weekend and you have some trouble, just keep trying. It will take 24 hours to make this move. And then they promised me that the performance is going to be increased. So everybody that was trying to get into the chat room that dropped me an email yesterday during the live show, hey, you prompted me to call, and we're going to get some stuff done on this. So I appreciate that, and just bear with us. Hey, growth, man, growth. We got this week's poll question is up. Is boxing corrupt? Now here's the thing. Kieran sent a great email about corruption in boxing. And when I talk about this to people, the immediate thing is that they think about gambling. That was the main focus of corruption at one point in time when boxing was, one of the top sports. I mean, you had baseball and boxing and horse racing. I mean, that's it, and there was a lot of gambling that went on the sport. Well, today, maybe not so much gambling goes on with boxing. The odds are crazy. The fights are a lot of times, although last month for February for the Billy C Challenge and beginning again with the first week in March, it's been pretty tough, man. A lot of tough picks, a lot of upsets. But the bottom line is that boxing isn't as much of a 50-50 fight a lot of times now. I mean, you look at a Klitschko in with let's say Tony Thompson. I mean, unless you're a Thompson, unless you're related to Tony, I mean, why would you, lay or why would you bet any money on the slim chance that he wins? And on the other hand, Klitschko's going to beat the guy, but why would you lay, $2,000 to win 100? But the question is corruption still around in other ways? And Kieran made a great point earlier in the week, or actually it was late last week, where he said, it may not be corrupt in the gambling halls, but where it is corrupt is with the sanctioning bodies, with the mystery number one mandatories, with the promoters and with the fighters and with the managers, and the corruption could be there. I think there is. I think it definitely is. Unlike a team sport, boxing, like I mentioned last week, there's only a handful of people that you need to get to in order to sway a result. Whether it's one judge, whether it's all judges, whether it's the referee, whether it's a fighter, whether it's a promoter, whatever. So my question and the poll question up this week is boxing still corrupt? What do you think? Cast your vote right now, www.billycboxing.com. Right now, it's 100%. Yes, it is. So, I don't know. So, anyway. Reminder, we are kicking off the new show, Talk to Me, Man. It's Billy C's Talk to Me, Man. It's going to be kicking off on Monday. That's right, on Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on BillyCBoxing.com. You got to catch it live. We're opening up the phone lines, and we're going to be reading emails. You, the viewer and the listener, are driving this show. So whatever you want to talk about is what we're going to talk about. It's going to be a weekly show. It's going to run technically for no less than 1 hour. However, we are going to get every single email and phone call in that we possibly can. So if it goes over the time, that's okay. We're all right with that. Now, here's the thing. if you miss the show, if you can't tune in live on BillyCBoxing.com, your only other option for the show is actually, well, you have two other options. Number one, you could become a premium podcast subscriber. You know, and I highly suggest that you do that. It's $15 a year, and you'll have full access to not only all of these shows, but all of the Talk to Me Man shows and all of the other shows that are coming up. We are putting 6 more shows out. There is one other place that you can get it. It will not be up on YouTube. It will not be up on Billy C. Boxing, but it will be packaged in on LDL TV over the weekend. Now, here's the thing. This is why it's still worth it to become a premium podcast subscriber. The Talk to Me Man show and the other ones will be packaged in with a loop that constantly runs 24 hours over the weekend. So it's 24 hours on Saturday and Sunday that LDL TV runs. They take all of these shows, all 5 shows from this, plus the Change My Mind show, the Talk to Me Man show, and if you like other sports, we got the New York Talking New York Sports with myself and Brooklyn Mikey, which is really starting to get some fanfare. It's a great show if you like other sports. You got to check it out. And so there's no given time when you can tune in, so you'd have to be on LDL TV waiting, which is fine. And if you don't want to pay the $15 and listen to it whenever you want, there's where you can check it out. So that's what it is. We're expecting big things from Talk to Me Man. We want you to call in. The phone lines will be open. And we want you to drop an email. Now, you guys drop emails now, and we're trying to get them in. Today will be the last day I have all the emails that I'm going to be able to read. Starting tomorrow, we are going to pick some of the emails out, and they will be part of the Talk to Me Man show. So we got some changes going on, but it's all for the good. It's all for the good, man. So anyway, I think it's going to be great, and we're really looking forward to it. Another thing I want to keep you up to date on, we're looking forward to tomorrow's Blast from the Past. Marlon Starling, he's a Billy C. Boxing Hall of Famer, and quite honestly, Alex Papali, who does the Blast from the Past with me and myself, can't understand why he's not in the Boxing Hall of Fame. The International Boxing Hall of Fame, which, incidentally, I'm still teetering on whether I'm going to go or not. I'm hoping that I'm going to be out in Las Vegas by then and will not be able to go. That's why I'm not making any plans. It's in June. It's 2 months away. With some of the moves that we're making right now, we're hoping that we will be doing our show from Las Vegas by that time. So I have not made up my mind yet. I was trying to make a decision on the Hall of Fame. Quite honestly, I go there for you guys, and I'm not a big fan of what that's become. Not to say I don't like to see the fighters and of course, all the viewers and listeners and all boxing fans. I love it, and that's what I loved about that whole event. I just don't like the way it's being run at this point. Hey, listen, speaking about seeing you and meeting you, don't forget March 29th up at the Turning Stone in Verona, New York. There's going to be a great card going on. It's a Friday night fight card, and Dantas Bondavas against Brian Vera is the main event. And I want to meet you, man. So get yourself some tickets. You can get them right now by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click the, you'll see it. It says ESPN Friday Night Fights. Click that. It'll take you right to the box office. $25 is what tickets start out at, so you can't beat that. As soon as you get your ticket, drop me an email, billy@talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING.com, and I'll set up a time where we can hang out. Hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, got some emails. If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Rosselli Enterprises. Rosselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flow boys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Rosselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RosselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C. dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase, coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C. show. You're watching a replay on LDL TV. Glad you could join us. Speaking of LDL TV, don't forget, man, April 13th, Sal Sinicola returns to the ring after 25 years. I think he's nuts, man. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. You know, I love doing the blow by blow and you know all these fights that we get to do, and I'm going to be calling the action ringside on April 13th down in Florida, and you know we hope you tune in and check it out. It's going to be a great card, but you know the guy's 53 years old, man. He's older than me, you know, and I challenged him, man. I challenged him, and he's going to be trying to change my mind on Thursday night on LDL TV. Check it out. Sal Sinicola, going to try to change my mind on a new episode of Billy C's Change My Mind. Check it out, www.ldltv.com for all the information on that. I believe it starts at 7:30. I believe it starts at 7:30 on 7:30 p.m. So, you know, we got J-Man in there. He says, after watching the performance by Gary Russell, is he better than you thought or worse? J-Man thinks that he's overrated. It seems to be a general consensus from some of you guys. Better or worse? You know, sounds like a marriage proposal. You know, the bottom line is this. I don't think any differently of Gary Russell Jr., man. I think he's an exciting fighter, and I'm looking forward to his growth as a fighter. I love the interview that we did with him. I think he's very smart. With their game plan. I think that unlike Demetrius Andrade, unlike Deontay Wilder, this is a guy that has been progressively, increasing his level of position. They're in no rush. He's young. You know, he's got potential to make a lot of money. Yes, he hurt his hand. Yet no, he didn't knock out the guy. But he dominated the fight. It wasn't close. I like Gary Russell. I think Gary Russell is what I like to see in a fighter. You know, I see a lot of talent. You know, people criticize me for, not appreciating the sweet science. Well, Gary Russell displays the sweet science. Don't get me wrong. I love a good toe-to-toe fight. I love to see a guy, knock out his opponent and stuff. But you know, I also love seeing a fighter who engages in their fighter and displays the sweet science. You know, to me, there's a difference. You know, you can be very good defensively. You can have fast hand speed. You can be accurate with your punches and throw an arsenal of different types of punches, and still win an exciting fight without knocking out your opponent. You know, it's the guys who run. You know, so anyway. He says he's a premium podcast subscriber, so he's not listening right now. He's just in the chat room. So anyway, Biggerback says, speaking of Gary Russell, he says, I think Gary Russell suffers from ring identity crisis. He doesn't know whether he's a counterpuncher, an aggressor, etc. That's usually the trainer's fault. The reason Robert Garcia is the best trainer today is he knows his fighters and works around their strengths rather than teach all of them a certain way to fight, like Adam Booth. I think Russell and Virgil Hunter would be a good match. First of all, I agree with Biggerback 100%. The definition of a good trainer is a trainer that can take a fighter, see what that fighter's natural assets are and build on them. That separates a good trainer from a bad trainer. I always use this example because, I was close with him and everything else, but Kevin Rooney and Mike Tyson together were unbeatable. The problem was that when they separated, neither one of them did very well, and Kevin's problem was that he was a very one-dimensional trainer. If you were 9 feet tall, he'd still train you to bob and weave. Certain fighters are like that, and Biggerback uses Adam Booth as an example. I witnessed Adam Booth in his, in the corner of the last 2 fights he had, telling his fighter while he's losing, just keep doing what you're doing. Listen, that's an ego, right? Or it's just a lack of training knowledge. And Robert Garcia could very arguably be the best trainer out there today. He's a guy that has displayed, taking fighters from all levels and immediately improving them. We do have those hired guns, the late, great Manny Stewart, whether you like him or not, he was a great guy, great for the sport. But in the latter part of his career, he was a hired gun. He was able to take guys that had certain assets, like a good jab, and happened to have been over 6'6", and turn them into great fighters. If you look at Andy Lee, that was the last fighter that he brought up from the amateurs, and Andy Lee is Andy Lee. So I agree with what Biggerback says 100%. He goes on to say, anyway, I agree with you about Paulie Malignaggi. He's getting much better since he started. However, I think there's too many cooks in the kitchen of the Showtime broadcast team. Dude, I agree with you 100%. I was talking about that yesterday. I don't know if you caught yesterday's show, but there are way too many cooks. Well, let me finish his thought. He says they should get rid of Mario and bring Farhad. And said exactly that Mario Ronaldo or Ronaldo or whatever. He's awful. He does not fit into the sport of boxing. I don't know why they brought him in. Sometimes when these guys come in out of left field, you wonder if they're doing something to get the job. Speaking of jobs, but I don't know, man. The guy is awful. He interrupts. Come on, Al Bernstein. Listen, let me make no mistake. There is no doubt about it, and I'd be lying if I said different. I would love to be in that position. I would love it, and I would be ready to take the criticism and stuff. I would love to be a guy that was able to do that. Okay, so right there, I'm admitting I'm biased. I want the chance. I want to be able to be out there. But with that said, Al Bernstein is the best out there. Steve Farhood is very good. He's very good. I like Barry Tompkins. I think Barry Tompkins is a great lead guy. Ronaldo has no business being there. Paulie, I like Paulie too. I also like BJ Flores does a good job. These guys know what they're doing, and Paulie has calmed down a little bit. Ronaldo, or whatever his name is. That's how much I I was very critical of the other guy that was there. He was yelling and screaming. The name escapes me at this second, but they got rid of him. He didn't last too long, and they replaced him with another yeller and a screamer, just not as loud. It's just a different tone of voice. He's awful. He's awful. He says, lastly, he agrees with me. They have the most solid. If you think about it, if they had Barry Tompkins, Al Bernstein, and Steve Farhood, and maybe Paulie Malignaggi. You know what? How about this? How about Barry Tompkins, Al Bernstein, and Paulie Malignaggi, okay, just keeping it the way it is, and then put Steve Farhood as your official scorer and get the hell out of there with Joe Cortez. I mean, not only is it bad that the guy, I mean, come on, let's call a spade a spade. He can't speak English that well, okay? He's got the accent, okay? So number one, he's very hard to understand, all right? In person, let alone behind a microphone, all right? That's number one. Number two, he sounds like he's been taking a beating for the last 20 years. He sounds punch drunk to me. And add the fact that he also sounds like he's got a mouthful of marbles. Come on, man. And, by the way, Teddy Atlas knows how to score a better card than he does. He's the worst. He's the worst. That guy shouldn't. Listen, I know he does a lot of good things outside the ring. And as a person, maybe he's a great guy. I met him in person a couple of times. He was on this show once. The bottom line is, maybe in his earlier days he was a decent referee. Hall of Fame referee? Absolutely not. This guy to me, was all about himself and his stupid little coined phrase. And, it just becomes too much about the referees. And like we were talking about yesterday, it's terrible. It's terrible. It shouldn't be about the referees. It's about the fighters, man. It's about the fighters. It's about the fight. It's about the two fighters and the fight. Or maybe not even in that order. Maybe it should be about the fight and then the two fighters. The referee should not be an issue. He says, and finally, he says, lastly, you said Marlon Starling has one real loss. I assume it's the Curry fight. Starling reminds me of Marquez. He has many losses, but all are disputed, and they went most of their careers underappreciated. He's first of all, Marlon's a great guy. We're going to be talking about him tomorrow. We'll dissect his career. We're also scheduled to wake his ass up and have him come on the show tomorrow. So tomorrow we've got a real busy show. Scotty Krause, Alex Papali, and hopefully Marlon Starling. But really of the 6 losses, when you look at those losses, the guy should have won. And talk about defensive fighter. Everybody, all these Floyd Mayweather fans think how great he is. But, man, go watch some Marlon Starling fights. He was very hard to hit, and he mixed it up with people. And he fought only, well, I can't say only, but every single one of the top contenders of his time, top champions of his time, he fought. Did not duck anybody. No one. Great guy, man. Great guy. We're real close, and he loves Alex. Alex loves him. I mean, great guy, Marlon Starling. As a matter of fact, you can check out a speech he did at our Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame. It's up on the website under the Hall of Fame section. And great speaker. He's a great guy, man. Really. Thanks for the email, Biggerback. We always love getting emails from him. I got Alex T. He's got an email. It's a few things here. He says, I picked Billy Dibb on the Billy C. Challenge, and I really didn't do my research into who he was fighting. I knew who he was fighting. I just thought that he would try to outbox him, which I thought he had a good chance of just, circling around. And Teddy Atlas made a great point. It seemed like he was circling the wrong way. I don't know. I thought that Billy Dibb could have outboxed him and made an old, made it look like the old Billy Dibb, but come out with the win. Everybody criticizes a fighter about his style, but when you're winning, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And he tried to fix it, and he got broke. But anyway, he says, I didn't really do my research on who's fighting. When they announced that his opponent was an undefeated Russian, the first words came out of my mouth were, "Oh, crap." Come on, Alex. You used another word than that. He says, then when they said that not only is he an undefeated Russian, but he's from Siberia and has relocated to Robert Garcia's gym where he's probably sparring with guys like Mikey Garcia, Brandon Rios, etc., I knew I had picked the wrong in the challenge. You know, I got to admit, I did not know that he was with Garcia either. As soon as I saw Garcia in the training room, in the dressing room before the fight, I said the same thing. I was like, oh, no. You know, here he is. Then they nickname him. They call him the Russian Mexican, which I love. You know, he seems like a decent guy. So he says, he says, and we can clear the air right now on 50 Cent singing Billy Dib thing. He says Dib was brought in to be cannon fodder for Gamboa, no other reason. Then Gamboa decides he's going to sit on the sidelines for a while, and 50 Cent still has to deal with Dib's contract, so he books a fight for him and acts like he cares about the guy. You know, he didn't act like he cared about the guy. He mentions Gamboa and somebody else, another fighter, when he was in the ring. You know, so if I'm Billy Dib and I'm being, you know, introed, by, a rap star who, incidentally, no disrespect to Fitty, but maybe his studio, I don't listen to his music, not that, I have anything against it, but I'm sure his studio stuff sounds a lot better than that live did. That was terrible. I thought, Well, I guess it's kind of hard, they're piping in the background music and he's just got the mic and, I'm sure it's hard, but he gave props to Gamboa right in the center of the ring. We got some more from Alex T coming up in 2.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. from upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Oh, wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? Wait, what?
Wrong.
What's
wrong,
the problem?
Billy,
what?
C.
I did not have...
We're going to have to ask
wrong
you.
Speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
Thanks, Hulk. Appreciate it, man. And we're back. I forgot that. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. If you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, man, you got to call your television provider. Now, it doesn't matter if it's satellite or cable. You got to call them right now, and tell them that you want it. And they'll put it on. That's simple. They can. It's up to you. For all the information about Fight Now, visit their website, www.fightnow.com. Don't forget, man, we got the new show. It's coming up. It's called Talk to Me, man. It starts Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be live. We want you to check it out. We're going to be gearing the whole show all about you, your thoughts, your comments. Open up the phone lines. We're going to be reading emails, going back and forth. We're going to be taking one call at a time. So, when the call comes in and you're on the air and you're waiting to call, you just wait. And when we hang up, we're going to read an email. Then we're going to take the next caller. So we're going to be very organized. But 1 p.m. Eastern time. Listen, we figured 1 p.m. is going to be a good time because everybody on the East Coast, they're going to have their feet up on the desk during lunch at work. You can throw the computer on and check it out. Call in, just don't be spitting your roast beef sandwich all over the phone. The people on the East Coast, the people on the West Coast, well, you know what? They're going to be just getting into work, and they're going to have their feet up on the desk because they didn't have their coffee and donut yet. So, hey, just don't be wiping all that sugar from that sugar donut on your phone. So they're going to call. People in Europe, well, you're going to be home from work. You're going to be home hanging out, so you'll be able to call. So we've got a lot of anticipation of interaction. Plus, we're going to be taking the overflow emails that we've been getting on this show and anything that we can't read. So if you sent in an email or if you made a comment on the YouTube page or someplace else, and I don't read it on this show the next day, it will be part of the Talk to Me Man show. We will read every single email, whether it's good or bad. All we ask is that you stay on the professional level. That's it. So, a lot of talk about some of these fights this weekend, and this right here. He says, Alex T says, also this fight had Eddie Claudio, the ref. He's the let's get popping. That's the way. Let's get popping, man. Guy that you mentioned a few weeks ago. He says Claudio made that fight hard to watch. He's terrible, man. He's terrible. New York, baby. New York. That's a New York commission guy. So he says Claudio made that fight hard to watch. He was barking at both guys all night, breaking them apart right away without giving them a chance to work out of a clinch. Is that a referee? Is that a referee that knows anything about boxing? Think about it. In fighting, if fighters aren't allowed to get in close and fight, you're supposed to let them fight out of it, especially if one hand is free. You give them a few seconds. Give them 20 seconds. If they're holding on, then you break them apart. A lull in the action, right? Just like a mouthpiece. Come on, man. They're in close and one hand's free. The other hand locks up. It's not that they're holding on. I doubt very much in round number 2 they're holding in a 12-round fight. They're not tired yet, man. They're trying to protect themselves. It's wrapping up the hand. With a free hand, you're supposed to be able to be allowed to hit. He says he made that fight hard to watch. He says they never gave a chance to work out a clinch. Hands down, the worst ref I've seen in a long, long time. My dad once told me the best ref is the one where you don't even know his name when the fight's over. Exactly. I said that yesterday, man. Go watch any of the old fights that were good, classic fights. Number one, you don't even know who the referee is. Number two, you never see him. You never see him unless there's a knockdown or unless there's something happens where he does have to break him up, and all of a sudden he's in the picture. He's in the frame. That's a good referee, man. A referee has to be just far enough away. I don't want the referee so far away that, God forbid something happens that, he's too far away to do something about it. But far enough away to let them fight, and definitely not in the camera shot. Come on, man. These guys try to get in the camera. See, that's the problem that bothers me. When they, let's get popping, man. They're trying to get into they're trying to do this. They want to be famous. They want to be a superstar. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. And don't let them fool you. That's what it is. They want to be a superstar. He says another clown was Mercanti Jr. He says when Nelson scored the first round knockout, Mercanti goes over to the corner and tells him to calm down, take it easy. What a jerk. Exactly. I said this again. Yeah, again, I said this yesterday. You don't go over there. As soon as the fight's waved off, guess what? McCanty's job is over. If I'm in that corner, I'll tell you right now, I would have said, get the F away from me. Get the F away from me. I just won a big fight. I just put myself in a position for a world title fight. I just proved on national television that I belong rated where I am, and you're going to tell me to settle down? I wasn't kicking things over. I wasn't endangering everyone. I was in my corner celebrating with my team. That was totally uncalled for by McCanty. I agree with you 100%. He says Nelson's corner tells him, he says, watch out for Willie Nelson. He's going to become a name to remember. He is, man. He's got some great music, and different guy. He says, finally, Abril should never fight on TV again. As good as he makes a horrible TV fight. Here's the thing. Yeah, he does, but when he counterpunched in the second half of the fight, his game plan was to go into the second half of the fight. He did try to make it a little more exciting. Unfortunately, styles make fights, and he wasn't in there with the right guy for him. But I agree, he's not exactly an exciting fighter, but neither is Vasquez, who is supposed to be fighting Ricky Burns. So, he's not exactly an exciting guy either, but he wins. He says, can we get a Hopkins Cloud post-fight show? Hopkins Cloud post-fight show? Maybe. Fight Now hasn't asked to do one. They haven't told me that we were doing one. You think it's big enough? I mean, listen, B-Hop is I'm telling you what's going to happen in that fight, and we'll talk about it, later on in the week. But he's going to find a way. Cloud is just too young and too strong. He's going to find a way to try and get another fight with Cloud. He's going to disqualify. He's going to get it as a no contest. I'm telling you, B-Hop that's what he's turned into. I know everybody loves him, and you got to give him credit. Some of you love him. I don't. You got to give him credit for his accomplishments and everything. I'm not going to take that. Old style fighter, throwback fighter, Hall of Famer, yeah. But all his fights, he tries to get out easy. He wants to get the most money for the least amount of work. That's the American way, isn't it? Hasn't that become the American way? Let's do hardly nothing and get as much as we can get for it. That's the American way, man. And B-Hop is no different. He's going to want to try and get out of that fight. Come on, that whole shoulder thing. Come on, man. He's going to pull something like that, guarantee. He's not going to go. Don't think he's going to go. For anybody that thinks he's going to go after Cloud and make this an exciting fight, all of a sudden at 150 years old, come on, man. Come on. Post-fight show? I just don't think it's a big enough. I really don't think it's a big enough fight, So we'll see. If Fight Now wants it, they call the shots with me, so. He says, finally, Marlon Starlin isn't in the Hall of Fame. Wow. After you said that, I looked it up. And there are a couple of welterweights from the mid-'80s who you would think are in the Hall, notable Simon Brown, Donald Curry, and Marlon Starlin. Donald Curry, there's a lot of discrepancy on whether he should be, or I should say disagreement on whether he should be in the Hall of Fame or not. I thought he should be. Now, the problem with Donald Curry is that he didn't reign and wasn't at the top for as long as a guy like Marlon Starling was. Marlon Starlin, when he won and lost his title, he was still at the top for a long time. Donald Curry rose to the top very quickly and then, came crashing down and then, never got back again. And, I just thought that the dominance that Donald Curry had in that short run, is deserving of a Hall of Fame. That's my opinion, but a lot of people disagree, and I think that's why he's not in. As far as Simon Brown, I agree with that. And Marlon Starlin for sure. Great email. We got another mailbag. T. Bruce says, how do you know Gary Russell can hit hard? Because he beat up a bunch of bums and knocked them out. He stepped up in his last fight and couldn't phase the dude. I bet when he fights elite fighters, his power will be completely non-existent. As proven in his last fight, which was against a small step up. He's not going to drop Ponce. Nobody drops Ponce. He says Gradovich will kick his ass in a mismatch. And you say Gary likes to engage. Yeah, against bums. But what will happen when he faces a real opponent who doesn't care if he's fast and can take his soft hands? He's going to be running around the ring like every other boxer. y'all going to learn one way or another. You can't jump on these young fighters' bandwagon just because of the showings they put on against super bums. The moment they step up, we find out what they're really about, and that he didn't have a chin. They really didn't have any power. They really didn't have any heart. I can see straight through Gary. I have seen this since a while back. I feel it in my heart. This kid's going to get knocked out smooth once he steps up. He says, and his shoulder bar defense is very basic to me. We're going to see what happens if he fights Gradovich. I want to fight now so we can see old boy get his ass kicked. Gary Russell is the same as Triple G to me. Both great fighters with decent skills, both untested. Both are being judged by what they do against bums, but the same how people, I guess he means to say, but the same people say how they have power when Triple G fought in his last fight, couldn't knock him out. He says, same as Gary, knocks everyone out. Then he fights a baby step up, and all of a sudden his power's gone. I predicted that would happen. Now watch Ponce knock him out in 3 rounds, and everyone will come around when I say, I told you so. First of all, they all do the same thing right now. And I'm not, listen, my point is that you can't, a guy comes around, what's the gauge? Boxing fans are so fickle, and I'm included, but boxing fans are so fickle. It's like, what do you want? You want a kid to step up. You want to see him fight, a couple of good fights, and all of a sudden, bam, I want him to fight Ponce de Leon. And talk about jumping on bandwagons, T. Gradovich, nobody even heard of this guy. He comes in, he wins against Billy Dibb, and now everybody wants to see him fight. I want to see him fight more. I agree. I want to see Triple G fight more. I agree. I want to see Gary Russell fight more. I agree. But I don't want to see them fighting for world titles. I mean, Triple G's got a title. Everybody's anointed him as a great fighter, and I agree with believe it or not, I agree with giving quality stance on Triple G. Here's a guy that's fought in the United States 2 or 3 times. He signs a deal with HBO, and next thing you know, he's great. Come on, man. He's been talking the talk. He hasn't stepped in with any of the guys that he's talked. He's a different situation. He's a champion. Gary Russell's not a champion. Gary Russell isn't a champ. And Gary Russell is stepping up. And listen, remember something, man. These guys, they're in the gym. They're seeing what they're working on and the rate of improvement. And maybe what you're referring to as a baby step up, maybe that's all that he's ready for. I don't believe in rushing the guys, because then you end up with cases like Andre Berto, with Victor Ortiz, and we're going to find out when he fights Austin Trout if a guy like Saul Alvarez was rushed. You mentioned Ponce de Leon. This is a veteran. Nobody knocks him out. Come on, man. Now you're going to complain that Gary Russell, didn't have the punching power? Listen, it's not all about power sometimes. Speed, the punch you don't see, knocks you out. Any of these guys can knock out anybody. Even fighters, it's like football. Oh, that guy sucks. He starts straying. He's sitting on the bench. Yeah, well, go ahead. Go play a game with him. He'll rip you apart. Same thing with these fighters. These guys, oh, he's a bum. He's a tomato can. Look at his record, 16-8. He's a bum. Yeah, he'll kick your ass. Listen, let's be real. Us as sports fans, we jump all over these guys, but you're forgetting the level that they're at. And, I don't think it's fair to criticize Gary Russell yet. Yes, I do believe he engages a hell of a lot more than a Floyd Mayweather does. Now you could argue and say, well, Floyd's at a different point. He's at a higher end of his career. He's got he's got the ability to do that if he chooses. Fine. You want to say that argument. I don't agree with it, but it's a valid argument. You can't really say that with Gary Russell yet. You put him in with a guy that maybe his team doesn't feel he's ready for. He's not saying he's the best. He's not shooting off his mouth. I don't hear him shooting off his mouth. I hear him saying stuff like, I'm developing. I'm a work in progress. I'm trying to get better and better each time out. So why are you trying to throw him in with somebody else and then say, see, I told you also. That's what you just said. You want to put him in a fight that he can't win. Oh, I told you also. Wait a minute. If once a fighter starts saying, oh, I can beat so-and-so, I'm the best. Deontay Wilder, great case, great point. I can beat every heavyweight out there. Then go fight one that's good. Come on, Deontay. Stop shooting off your mouth. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then he fights a bum. Different story. Gary Russell's not saying that. You know, when a fighter's talking out his ass, when a fighter's shooting off his mouth and calling out everybody under the sun and doesn't fight them or picks a weaker opponent, now you got a valid reason to say, hey, what happened? How come you're not fighting this one? How come you're not fighting that one? You know, but when a guy is saying that I'm working, I'm getting better, I'm trying to improve my game, you know, why are you rushing him to judgment, man? I don't know. You know what? Gary Russell hasn't rubbed me the wrong way yet, you know, and everything that he's done, and I don't make excuses for a fighter who sustains an injury. I don't. But, I don't know, man. I think you're being hard on him, you know. We'll have to wait and see. Time will tell on him, so. And finally, I got one more email here. And again, you know, we're not going to take this much time with the emails anymore. Beginning tomorrow, we are going to still have email time. We're going to have a mailbag that we're going to do. Probably we're going to limit it to maybe 15 minutes or so. And then all of this kind of correspondence will be put on to the Talk to Me Man show. That's the whole basis of it. You know, there's a lot of things going on. There was some fights yesterday in Canada I want to talk about. We got some good fights coming up this weekend. A great matchup. Talk about young fighter. We got you got Keith one-time Thurman really stepping up for the first time in his career. Again, you know, that is more along the lines of what T. Bruce was talking about, and not that Keith Thurman shoots off his mouth, but here's a guy that's really been fighting very questionable opposition, blowing him away, and he's taken a huge step up, biggest test of his career against Jan Zavik this weekend. That's going to be one of the fights on our challenge, and you know, I want to talk about that kind of stuff coming up. So this is from a Fight Now viewer, Lawrence Riley from New York. Don't know where in New York, but Lawrence Riley, a Fight Now viewer, has got a pretty extensive email here. And he says, so good, you keep doing the impression. Let's get popping. He says, it deserves it forever. Keep saying it in the exact way you do. Everyone gets hysterical when they hear it. They are laughing very hard. What an a-hole he acts like in the ring. He's referring to Ed Claudio. Let's get popping. You know, this guy, he's bad. He says Claudio is and this is Lawrence again. He says Claudio is the worst abomination of the New York State Athletic Commission. He says he is very extremely close personal friends with Melvina Lathan. I didn't know that. He says he's a disgusting, crude, crab-ass human in person. I didn't know that. He's crude, guttural, mid-ring, let's get poppin', is effing disgusting and unprofessional. He says it demeans the sport to put in such a street slob. He has no boxing background, knows nothing about boxing. Well, I don't know his history, but I do agree that the let's get poppin' is kind of a street slang, you know, and, you know, I mean, you know, I'm a boxing purist. I want people to look at boxing positively, and this to me adds negativity to the sport, in addition to a guy that's trying to focus a fight that, you know, in my belief, we got the priority. The fight is number one. The fighters are number two. And there is no number three. The result is number three. The referee is not a part of my equation in a fight. Any referee that says, let's get popping, or let's go toe-to-toe, or, you know, let's do this, let's do that, you know, remember, I'm fair, but I'm firm. You know, all these guys are just trying to make it about themselves, you know, which is very disheartening, because in the sport of boxing, you have a lot of, you know, in all sports, one of the most important things that we need in sports is sponsorships. You need large corporations to align themselves with different things. NASCAR, I mean, look at NASCAR. Hey, you can't look at a car, a uniform, or whatever they call it, a race suit, a helmet, you know, gloves, tires, the pit crew. You can't look at any of them without seeing a barrage of sponsors all over them. All right. You know, you watch a football game. If you're live at the stadium, you see sponsors all over. You go to baseball, you see, and on television, you see all the commercials. On baseball, you go out in the outfields, you see the billboards packed with sponsors. Television commercials packed with sponsors. Hockey, same thing. Basketball, same thing. Boxing, huh? crickets. And the thing is you got a few of them. You got a few. They align themselves with the top guys. The small promoters starve. That's why they don't last. That's what's, it's such a trickle-down effect. And then when you really look at the reasons and you look at these corporations and you say to yourself, why doesn't Pepsi want to align themselves with a boxer? Why doesn't, XYZ company, why doesn't GM want to, General Motors or Ford or Chrysler, why don't they want to align themselves with a boxer? Well, when you turn on the tube and you see a guy, let's get popping, man, let's get popping. When you see that and he's a referee, come on, man. Yeah, can you blame him? Anyway, Lawrence Riley, Fight Now viewer from New York says, Mercanti Jr. I thought he did an okay job. He only lasted a minute. We didn't give him time. He says, Mercanti Jr. telling the corner man angrily to settle down is so effing up in the trees. Who the F does he think he is? He always does the bossing people around crap. I agree, man. I said it, Lawrence, and obviously watching it on Fight Now, or maybe you missed that segment. I agree. He was way out of line with that. If I'm in that corner, I tell him to shut the F up. I tell him to get away from me. If the commission officials or if the ring officials or the venue officials or if the security police, come up and tell us that if we're endangering a fan or another fighter or an official, it's a totally different story. From what I saw, and again, I wasn't ringside. I was watching it on television. What I saw was a corner. I saw Willie Nelson and his corner. A couple of guys high-fiving, raising them up in the air and pumping their fists in the air. I mean, that's called jubilation. That's called excitement. That's called we just made a major accomplishment, And a referee after the fight, after it's official, after it's waved off, goes over, hey, settle down, boys. Settle down. Settle down. Come on, man. He was way out of line. I agree with you, Lawrence. He says, during the Bailey Alexander fight, he says, listen to Mercanti Jr. tell both during their Showtime title fight, talking to them like dogs. You, go over there. You, go over there. He's right. I did punch that up, and I looked because anytime I see a long email, I try to look through some of the stuff. And he's right. He says he is very demeaning to people. He puts himself on a pedestal and degrades the fighters, which is something his dad never did. He says he calls everyone kid or son. And in the Friday Night Fights, he asked Medina, "Are you all right, kid?" He says his total loss of control at Yankee Stadium against in the Cotto Foreman fight should have sat him down forever as a referee. I agree with that. What he did in that fight was pretty bad, and I don't mean to throw in the towel back. He did make a valid point. I spoke to him one-on-one about that. He did make a valid point about that. You never know, what debris is going to come in. The only consolation there is, okay, here you are. You're at Yankee Stadium. You're in a fight. A white towel that all of the corners got that's covered with blood gets thrown into the ring. Where else did it come from other than the corner? The guy sitting in the front row happens to, I'm going to play this joke on Art Mercanti Jr. You know what I got stashed in my pocket? I got a towel, right? And I got blood all over it, right? And I'm going to throw it in the ring and confuse Art Mercanti Jr. So I don't know, man. I think it was pretty obvious where it came from, but nonetheless, I understand his point. But what he did by making, the kid continue, by not taking that fight in his own hands, hey, man, you're showing heart, man. What a heart. Any fighter does not want the fight to stop. So when you ask a fighter who's on one leg, who all he can do is jab and use his feet, you want to continue? Yeah. Of course he's going to say yeah. That's up to the corner who tried to stop it, throwing the towel in, and the referee to make the call, man. Make the call. Save the fighter, So I agree with Lawrence. It's not funny, but it is, because this guy is all about him, Anyway, he says, He says, let's see, where am I? Yeah, it should have been sat down forever. His entire history of obnoxious incompetence is consistent with his background. He's bullying, obnoxious, camera-hogging clown. Okay, man. Hey, I appreciate that. I think this would have been great for Talk to Me, man. But I'm loving it. He says the whole New York State Athletic Commission is a bunch of bullies now. They all make a lot of money, and none of them give a crap what the refs say in that ring. But the most embarrassing ones over there are Art McCanty Jr., Claudio, and Steve Smoger, who for some reason a lot of people like. Yeah, a lot of people do like Steve Smoger. I think the reason is because Steve Smoger is a guy who lets fighters fight. Unlike let's get popping, man. Unlike him who breaks them up every Tuesday. The guy's name that I was trying to remember, coaches in the chat room now, wasn't Russell Moret. It was Lou Moret. Lou Moret is the referee I love. I hope that Lou Moret is the guy who referees Guerrero and Mayweather, but it won't. It'll be one of Mayweather's employees. Mentions these names. He says, they do nothing better than anyone else and are worse than most. Quite the line from Lawrence Riley. He says, the whole New York State Athletic Commission assignment process is a fix. He says, I say bring in Ron Lipton. If you want a referee who knows how to let them fight inside, he always did a great job. Instead of these guys or anyone else like Russell Mora, Ron Lipton needs to be brought back in. I know Ron personally, and he is a damn good referee. There's no question about it. He has been, he has gotten his license back, and quite honestly, I haven't seen him on in any of the big fights, so I'm a little confused why, to be honest with you. He says, I think if you watch the Murkai Sosha versus Prince Charles Williams #1, the first fight, two of the most respected commentators in boxing, Al Bernstein and my man Dave Bontempo. Yeah, he said it best. Ron Lipton always lets them fight inside. He's the perfect referee. Lawrence says, I agree. He says, keep up the great work, Billy C. You are undoubtedly the best in the biz and should get way more accolades than you get. Appreciate the email, Lawrence, especially the end. But your point is well taken, and I think that a lot of people agree with you. Hey, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, we got some fight results, we got some news, some good news, some bad news, all of that in about 2.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out the ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
He beat Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What? We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C. sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. show. He's Billy C., and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on Fight Now TV. And if you don't have the Fight Now channel on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. For all the information about the channel, you can find it on the website, www.fightnow.com. My man, Coach. Love this guy, man. Check out his website, www.strictlybusinessboxing.com. Always supports us, and we, of course, support him. He just made a statement here in the chat room. He says, we had a poll question on strictlybusinessboxing.com. Who should referee? And it was down to the wire between Steve Smoger, the referee, the Mayweather and Guerrero fight. So it was down to the wire between Steve Smoger and Tony Weeks. He said, and Smoger won. And I like this guy, Lou Moret. But, it got me thinking about Smoger, and I guess he's not the greatest guy outside the ring. But as far as referee, I just got one question for Steve Smoger. What size pants you wear, man? I mean, I never say I think he ties. I think his belt is a tie. I've never seen a guy wear his pants up that high, man. I mean, he wears his pants up around his neck, man. He's the only guy that I know that can tie his tie through the belt loops of his pants. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. There was some fights yesterday in Toronto. And, some good. I thought they were well matched. I thought they were well matched. To be honest with you, I should have given it some time yesterday. It totally slipped my mind. But Denton Daly, he's an undefeated cruiserweight. He's been on this show. He improved to 9-0 with 5 knockouts. When all 3 judges scored a fight 100-90 over Richard Hall. Remember Richard Hall? Veteran fighter. He drops to 30 wins, 12 losses, 28 of his wins coming by knockout. This is an annual tuxedo black tie event that took place at the Ritz-Carlton in Toronto. It raises money, which is a great cause for the Right to Play charity. So I give them a little shout out there. It's goes to underprivileged kids in Africa. Denton Daly is a guy that we're going to start to keep an eye on. 9-0 now, with 5 knockouts. Also on the card, Krishlan Maduma improved to 13-0 with 9 knockouts when he scored a knockout over Josephat Perez, who drops to 13 wins, 5 losses, and a draw, with 8 of his W's coming by knockout. The stoppage came at 29 seconds of the 10th and final round. It was a body shot that sent Perez down and out. Also, in the cruiserweight division, a previously undefeated fighter named Chukwunso Okafor lost for the first time. Benito Quiroz improved to 8-2 with 7 knockouts when he won a decision over Okafor, who drops his first loss. He's now 3-1-1. The way the judges scored it with 39-37 twice and 39-38, all in favor of Quiroz. Quiroz was 39 years old, and he came out with the W. And finally, Unimar Amon improved to 5-1 with a knockout when he won a split decision over Jeremy Abbott, who drops to 3-4. It was the way the judge scored it was I don't have it in front of me, so I thought I had it, but all of the fights seem evenly matched. This slipped my mind. This totally slipped me the radar. Slipped under the radar for me. My man Fitz Vanderpool, who was a WBF world champion at one time. He's 45 years old. This guy's always playing jokes on me when I run into him at the Hall of Fame. But great guy. And he's making a comeback. And apparently he fought over the weekend in Moncton, New Brunswick. This was his second fight after he hung him up 7 years ago, and he came out with another W. So congratulations to my man Fitz. But check it out. You would think that at 45 years old, he would have been the oldest guy on the card. No, not Sal Senecola. Senecola wasn't there. But there was a 50-year-old fighter, and he was a former Canadian champion, Ron Savoy. He also was on the card. So, hey, man, I think there's a turn, man. There's a turn. A lot of older fighters that are in good shape are starting to make a comeback. And speaking of that, the comeback to reality fights taking place April 13th in Florida. Fernandina Beach, I think is how you pronounce it. It's near Jacksonville. Check it out. We got Sal Senecola. You should buy tickets now by visiting the website, www.billycboxing.com, and click the Sal Senecola poster. If you're not in the Florida area, why don't you mark it down on your calendar, April 13th, and you can watch the live stream for free. It's going to be a great card with the main event being Sal Senecola and yours truly with former world lightweight champion Nate Campbell will be calling the action on LDLTV.com. Sal Senecola, speaking of Sal, he's going to be on this week's Billy C's Change My Mind episode, and that's taking place Thursday night on LDLTV, so check out their website for the listings there. Peter Manfredo Jr. was supposed to fight Joey Spina for the second time, but Spina got hurt, and the whole card was in question, which is not this week, but next week, March 15th. But fear not, a blast from his past stepped up and will be fighting Peter Manfredo now. Peter Manfredo Jr., who's got a record of 38 wins, 7 losses, with 20 of his wins coming by knockout, is now going to take on fellow contender alumni Walter Wright, who's got a record of 14 wins, 3 losses, with 7 of his wins coming by knockout. That's taking place Friday, March 15th at the Twin River Event Center in Rhode Island. And our very own Alex Papali will be covering that fight, so we'll be looking forward to his write-up. Always does a good job there. Now, where's Walter Wright coming from with 2 weeks' notice? He hasn't fought since a 6-round win over Joshua Schneider back in 2010. But the guy's been active through his layoff. He's been a training sparring partner for James Kirkland. And when Kirkland was fighting Angulo and Carlos Molina, so he's been very busy in the gym. He's in shape, and he had been preparing for a comeback fight last June against Omar Henry, but that fight fell through. And then, of course, we'll know what happened with Omar Henry. So we got Walter Wright stepping in to fight Peter Manfredo Jr. on the 15th. Some disheartening news for a fight that I was really looking forward to. And this was, Miguel Vasquez, I mentioned him before in the lightweight division, is one of these fighters that he's not exciting. In my opinion, he's not exciting. But, man, the guy does nothing but win, And arguably the best lightweight out there right now is Ricky Burns, my man, Ricky. I was one of the only guys that picked him in a big fight, against Rocky Martinez, actually. And this fight was scheduled for March 16th. It was a big fight, unification fight. Had all kinds of ramifications. I smelled a showdown with Adrian Bronner after this. It was announced late yesterday that this fight is been rescheduled almost more than a month later. April 20th is the new date now. And Frank Warren, who's a promoter, claimed that the reason why it had to be delayed is because Vasquez came down with some food poisoning and became very sick. Now, remember, these Mexican fighters, according to Jose Suleiman, the model for the original Troll doll, says that, the reason why they test positive for steroids isn't because they use the steroids. It's because the beef in Mexico, they shoot them up with steroids. Well, maybe somebody shot up some of the beef with this virus that he got, which caused him to reschedule the fight. But a lot of people are questioning it. And according to Frank Warren's statement, he said, and I quote, "It's very unfortunate that Vasquez had to withdraw so close to the fight, but it's on medical grounds, which is beyond my control due to his viral infection, and we have his doctor's certificate confirming this." He says, "Therefore, I had to postpone the fight, not canceled, as some people have stated in other media reports." He said the fight's been rescheduled to Saturday, April 20th at the Wembley Arena. "Everyone is disappointed by this postponement, but we've worked hard to ensure that Ricky's unification fight still goes on." There's a lot of things going on with this card, apparently. Ricky Burns said, and I quote, I'm absolutely gutted. This fight ain't happening. Another training camp, and it's fell through." Burns said on yesterday, he says, "Not only that, I feel sorry for the fans, my friends, and family who have now booked tickets, flights, and hotels. Sorry, everyone." Well, I love that line, and it's a UK line, gutted. Every time I think of that, and it means that they're upset. They're devastated. But every time I hear that, I'm gutted, I think of a fish being gutted, man. And I'm wondering if that's the intent. So one of my UK listeners, why don't you check it out, man, and let me know. But anyway, Dax Khan just dropped into the chat room. He's telling me he's telling everyone that his one of his email accounts got hacked. He says, "I just got an email from myself," which he didn't send. That happens a lot, and sometimes it's not hacking. Sometimes what happens is they get on these. It's actually the mail server that gets an email address, and they just have it coming from you, and they do that. But Yahoo and some other of those public email accounts have been getting hacked lately, so you never know. We also a lot of people think that there's other reasons for this fight. And speaking of Dax, by the way, I knew I would mention his name for something. I wasn't giving the hacker the publicity. I wanted to remind everybody that Dax knew. I said it yesterday on yesterday's show, but Dax's last piece of the New York State Athletic Commission and Brian Pappas article is up. It's up on the website. There's other news that has been posted after that, but you could check it out under his column, the last piece. And, as I agree with Dax, the bottom line here, after all his interviews and stuff like that, is the New York State Athletic Commission, man. They're the ones at fault. They're the ones that made the mistake, and we're not men enough or women enough to stand up and just say, hey, you know what? We made a mistake, and we're going to fix the problem or make sure that that doesn't happen. Instead, they acted just like the emailer said earlier, like bullies, and pointed the finger at everyone else. And that's the thing I hate about that commission. And I wish they would man up. I wish Governor Cuomo, here's a guy that is sticking his nose into everything here in the state. I wish he would stick his nose into the commission, because, he's cutting this, cutting that, and spending here, spending there. Listen, I could run that commission myself on half of the budget that they have. I know I could. And I know I would have people that I could appoint very quickly that could make the New York State Athletic Commission very reputable. And I'm not alone. There's a lot of people that could do a better job than the current staff in there right now. They're a bunch of bullies, and all they are, they're like, they're a reflection of Ed Claudio is a reflection of the New York State Athletic Commission. Let's get popping. That's the commission, man. That's their battle cry. They all come into the office, and there's a big gold statue of I'm not going to mention his name, but he works there right now. He's the guy in charge of boxing. A big gold statue of him, and they all touch his bald head, and they go, "Let's get popping, man. Let's get popping. We got a new day to bully people around. Let's get popping." So that's the New York State Athletic Commission. Anyway. Back to boxing talk. We have a lot of people are doubting Frank Warren. They're saying that this card was in some serious trouble. And add to the mix Groves, who's a guy that a lot of us are thinking was a a guy that we all like, man. I mean, George Groves, up and coming super middleweight. We told you that he abandoned Frank Warren yesterday. Well, it didn't take long because Eddie Hearn and Warren made the statement. He issued the statement yesterday that Groves has started. That stated that he's not interested in boxing for the European title, and he's going to take his choice of fights in another direction. And Frank Warren wished George Groves all the best in his career and look forward to working with him in the near future. And right after that release was sent out, let's get popping. Shortly after that, Matchroom Sport, Eddie Hearn says Warren's chief professional rival, who's Eddie Hearn, announced that he signed Groves. So remember yesterday I predicted that he would sign on with an American promoter. Man, that didn't take long for me to be wrong there. Eddie Hearn got popping. So he signed Georgie Groves, and they said that it's looking like he's going to be fighting real soon. He says he's going to be fighting Saturday night in London. Wow, talk about being soon. Which is the headline fight between Darren Barker against Simone Rotolo. Groves is going to be fighting Dario Germain Balsaminda in a 10-rounder. So that sounds good to me, man. That sounds good. That sounds like that might be a fight on the challenge. So, I tell you, and just to add things here with Frank Warren, one more thing before I get into the Felix Sturm thing. Frank Warren has also got some other issues. Nathan Cleverly was supposed to fight Robin Krasnicki, but and that was this on the same card, that March 16th. And he said that Cleverly has been suffering from a stomach virus that made him not be able to train. So that fight is supposed to have taken place on that card as well. So we'll see what happens there. And also Derek Chisora was supposed to fight on that card as well. So although he still hasn't gotten a license from the BBBBC. I don't know how it is there in Europe, but technically you're not supposed to be in a professional boxing. At least I know that that's the way the rules used to be in the state of New York, and I don't know for a fact if they are still like that or not. But back in the day when I promoted in New York, you weren't allowed to be in a gym if you were a professional. In other words, if you had a professional status, you were not allowed to be in a gym that was not registered as a gym that professionals train at. So with that said, if Derek Chisora, we know he's a professional, but he's not licensed from the British Board of Boxing Controls yet, how could he theoretically be preparing for a fight that would be under the British Board of Boxing Control commission or the control or guidance or whatever if he wasn't licensed? It seems we need to get a hold of Let's Get Poppin' to find out the answer on that one. Boy, am I amusing myself with that, huh? Oh, God. James DeGale, they announced a new fight for his opponent, his next fight. James DeGale was supposed to be fighting Pablo Oscar Natilio Frajas, but now he's going to be defending his WBC silver super middleweight belt against Alexander Brand on March 23rd. So we'll have to take a look at that one. March 23rd. Alexander Brand, that guy, I believe, fought for a World Boxing Federation title. So, and you know that they said, let's get popping. I can't help it, man. It's just so funny to me. And everybody's jumping all over him for that. I'm just going to say this. Remember when Art McCanty, and I don't mean to stick up for Art, because Art McCanty is not exactly a stable character and shouldn't be in the ring. But, remember when he started to coin the phrase, let's go toe-to-toe? Well, everybody jumped all over him, including his father, before his father passed away. And I know this because I talked to him directly. Art McKendy Jr. and I had a pretty nice conversation after I requested that he be banned from the sport. He called me on it and kind of we had a discussion, and I wanted to give him his props, everybody jumped all over him for making that let's go toe-to-toe, because that statement kind of makes the fighters think that, they got to go toe-to-toe, that they can't display the sweet science, that they can't box, that they're going toe-to-toe. And it seems like almost like a conflict of interest from a referee to be telling you that, as you're touching gloves to start the fight, And I believe, and by the way, his father, and this is the part of the story I was getting at, his father kind of told him privately, and Art Jr. told me this, said, hey, you know what, why don't you just get rid of that? And, from that day forward, the guy has never said that. And you can go back and look, as much as he was a jerk on Friday, he didn't do that. He didn't try to, take anything over with the mic. Yes, he was in the camera shot. Yes, he was trying to control Willie Nelson's corner. Yes, he was trying to carry out Medina after he got hurt. Yes, he was trying to get as much camera time as he could, but he didn't try to say a coined phrase like Ed Claudio's "Let's get poppin'." So listen, these coined phrases all got me turned off the day I watched Joe Cortez literally fighting Michael Buffer to get his unfair but unfair. Michael Buffer's like walking away. He's got the mic, right? And they introduce the fighters, and he turns around to walk away. And Joe Cortez is like grabbing. I forget the fight. He's like grabbing the mic, and you hear him yelling as Michael Buffer is walking away. Unfair but unfair. Unfair but unfair. It's like he had to get it in. And it just irks me, man. It irks me. Listen, Dax and I were talking about this on the phone last week. One guy started this all, and that was Mills Lane. Just like Michael Buffer started, let's get ready to rumble, which when you think about it isn't even really a related term to boxing, let's get ready to rumble, but, he coined that phrase, made a lot of money, so every other ring announcer has tried to, coin their phrase, and Mills Lane was the guy who said, let's get it on, but that never bothered me. And like Dax and I were talking about the other day, it didn't bother me because Mills Lane was a good referee, and he was a no-nonsense guy. It never fazed me. And I never thought in a million years that every referee would try to come out and say something to, gain that notoriety like Mills Lane got from that. But he didn't get it just from let's get it on. He got it from doing a good job inside the ring. The one thing about Mills Lane that I think I'll never forget is the look on his face when Mike Tyson bit Evander's ear and spit it out onto the canvas. It was a horrific look. He just was like, and his comments, if you forget how it was, if you look at the tapes of that fight, you got to make sure you watch the end when they're interviewing Mills Lane. And he's trying to be, because remember, he was a judge. So he's trying to be as diplomatic as possible with what just transpired and everything. And he's saying, well, I don't know that, he wasn't saying anything that he wasn't aware of 100%. He just did a fantastic job. But anyway, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, Felix Sturm is... he's tweeting. He's become a tweetheart. Yeah, he has. He's tweeting about these allegations, which I guess are not allegations, that Sam Solomon tested positive for a performance-enhancing drug. Sam Solomon says that he didn't do it. I didn't do it. He says he didn't do it. He says it's ridiculous. It's a fallacy. It's all made up. And Felix Sturm's got some interesting things to talk about that. And, we've been hearing this a lot about fighters testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs and stuff. Listen, man, ever since the ABC pointed to the official banned substance list, now this does not apply to this case because this took place over in Germany, but we do have a list of banned substances. This particular substance was referred to as a designer drug, which means that maybe, and I don't know this, I'm going to tell you what it was and all that stuff in a minute, but maybe it wasn't on that list. And if that's the case, now according to this tweet, USADA and VADA both said that it was a performance-enhancing drug. But the question I have, is it on that list? Because if it's not, what are they testing for it for? You know, but then again, these guys shouldn't be cheating. They shouldn't be cheating, man. You know, and I'm going to read this tweet in a second, this long-winded tweet. These tweets, Felix Sturm, the new tweetheart.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
I have a bunch of questions, Donnell, right? If you feel like you want to, you can answer for JD first. Why will you win? JD Chapman, why will you win?
Baby Holmes will get sick and get hit by a train that day on the way to the fight, or he might have diarrhea, he might have the flu, he might throw up. One of his eyeballs might fall out that day, and I might get lucky.
Talking Boxing
with Billy C.
In the real world, life has its shares of trials and tribulations, but you don't have to face them alone. This is Patricia Campanaro of Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you are facing emotionally difficult family legal issues from divorce to child custody, reach out to the team that will dedicate themselves to fighting for you, the team of Campanaro and Tomkovich. With almost 30 years of experience handling divorce, child custody, legal guardianship, visitation, and other legal issues dealing with family concerns, we can help you resolve the problems you are facing with professionalism and care. Our supportive staff is always ready to assist you with any questions or concerns you may have. To find out more about Campanaro and Tomkovich, visit us at duchessnylaw.com or call us and speak to a member of our attentive staff at 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Don't be surprised at court with inexperienced representation. At Campanaro and Tomkovich, we have been helping our clients get the justice they deserve for almost 30 years, and we could do the same for you.
Now back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights on the silhouette, he's in some net, coming at you on the count of 1.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. For only information about Fight Now, you can find it on our website, www.fightnow.com. They're in the chat room. They're talking about the HBO versus Showtime broadcast teams and stuff. And earlier, I couldn't think of his name. It just popped into my head. Gus Johnson with Showtime, right? This Marino, Coutinho, Bucci, whatever his name is, he's worse than Gus Johnson. You know, Gus Johnson, that first time that he busted onto the boxing scene and called a fight, you know, I talked about it that Monday, and the guy's like yelling and screaming at me, you know, not at me, at all of us. You know, I couldn't stand it. I can't stand a commentator that's yelling at you. You know, I mean, you know, I get yelled at enough. I don't need to have, you know, the guy that I'm watching a boxing match yelling at me through the television set, you know. And, you know, we were very critical of him. And, you know, I saw improvement after that, you know, just like we were very critical of Paulie Malignaggi, and I saw improvement after that. And you know, nothing for nothing, but very rarely do I want people to give us credit. But I do believe that all of us here at BillyCBoxing.com should take the credit for that. I do know for a fact that people from Showtime and HBO watch this show, and we have seen clearly an improvement with Paulie. And we saw an improvement with Gus Johnson. Gus Johnson, before he vanished from Showtime, was doing a decent job. Now we need Showtime to shut this other guy up. Personally, I think they should get rid of him and use the most solid broadcast team in the sport right now, which in my opinion is Barry Tompkins, Al Bernstein, and throw Paulie and Steve Farhood in there. They're talking about Joe Cortez. Listen, if you're tuning in late, I said about Joe Cortez. Joe Cortez is simply a guy that, A, doesn't speak of the English too well. That's number one. Number two, he sounds like somebody beat him with a bat, like, twice a day for 20 years, in the head, that is. Okay, so, he sounds a little punch drunk. And number three, he sounds like he's got a mouthful of marbles, so add them all together, and what do you get? Ibbity bobbity boo. You get a guy you don't understand. And by the way, I've been critical of Teddy Atlas's scorecard. How many times have I said give Teddy Atlas a coloring book and a crayon rather than a scorecard and a pencil? Well, I don't even think you should give Joe Cortez a coloring book and a crayon. I think you should give him one of those. What do they call it? The Orbitz Crew. What's that cube? That you got to get all the colors in there. I saw. Speaking of that, I saw a kid. What do they call that? When juggling it. Juggling was it Orbitz? I can't think of it. Ubitz Cruise. One of you guys help me out. One of these kids, he was juggling one of those cubes and made it all come up as he's juggling. That's amazing. But anyway, Felix Sturm, his tweeter statement says, "This feels like a movie to me. In my opinion, Solomon should do himself a favor and stop lying and confess his wrongdoing. His A sample was positive, and that was confirmed by both NADA and WADA." He says, "Come on, Sam, stop lying. Or are you trying to tell me someone slipped you a drug? One that's difficult to find. That makes no sense to me." Now, by the way, the substance that the German Boxing Federation says that was found in a system was called, yeah, like I'm going to be able to get this right. It's called aloxofrene. He says it is on, the German Boxing Federation says it is on the NADA/WADA list of prohibited substances under the stimulants. The testing was done at the Institute for Biochemical in Cologne, Germany. That's a place that smells really good in Germany. But anyway, Solomon says, this is making no sense to me at all. None at all. He says that Sam had a doctor at his side who specialized in doping. He told my team about all these different tests that I had to do. He knew everything about the matter. I never saw a fighter bring in a doping expert to a fight. Well, I guess you've never watched any fighters here in the States because that's like, the new thing right now. You got your boxing trunks, you got your boxing shoes, you got, the tape, the gloves, the robe, and your doping expert in the corner. He says Solomon has claimed that he's asked his lawyer to look into this. Tweeter Felix Sturm on his Twitter says, why is that? If he's so sure that he's innocent, why doesn't he just have the B sample opened up? He says, come to Germany, Sam, and monitor the procedure and take your doctor with you. I figured he's an expert on the topic. He says, I took so many blood, this is Felix Sturm, I took so many blood and urine tests throughout my career, they always come up negative. I'm a clean fighter and make my tests available for research purposes. Sam took a substance that's hard to find. It's hard to trace, and it's hard to find. That's something an amateur does. You or someone close to you has to know exactly how and what and when to take it. In the end, I took all their tests. They all came negative. He took the test. It came positive. He said, this is sad for boxing. I hope that IBF does the right thing and declare this fight a no contest. I guess that's what's going to happen if it does turn out to be like that. There seems to be so many shenanigans. And again, how does this fit in perfectly to our poll question this week? Is boxing corrupt? And this is a good example. Another good example. Like Kieran said last week, we have a tendency to think of corruption with, adjacent and parallel to gambling. Well, there's a lot of other versions of corruption in this sport. Like, let's say, that sample, for the benefit of the doubt, for all intent purposes, sample A tests positive, and it's not looking good for Solomon, right? However, let's just say, for argument's sake, that it was tainted. Let's just say that it was set up. Let's just say that the German fighter in Germany who lost, who wants a no contest so he can get back in the mix and all of these things. Plus, by the way, did we forget to mention that he's a promoter now in Germany? Let's just say that somebody got to an official from the governing body, which is the German Boxing Federation, and, had this test changed. That's a form of corruption. So do me a favor. Go up to the website right now, BillyCBoxing.com, and cast your vote. Is boxing corrupt? Do you think it's still corrupt? I don't know. They announced a doubleheader in Jakarta, Japan. It's going to be taking place April 14th at an indoor tennis stadium on April 14th. And it's going to be in the featherweight division. Satoshi Honsono, who's 23-2. Huh? I got that one right, didn't I? 23-2 with 17 knockouts. Is going to be stepping in the ring against Chris the Dragon John. It'll be his fifth opponent from Japan on April 14th. Chris John has got a record of 48 wins, no losses, and 22 of his wins coming by knockouts. It'll be his 22nd consecutive victory. The fight didn't even take place. It would be his 20th consecutive title defense since he took over that division in his mind in 2003. And should he win, he will be passing Panama's former featherweight champ, Eusebio Pedrosa, who had 19 consecutive title defenses between 1978 and 1985. The co-main is going to be Daud Sino Jordan, 30 wins, a couple losses, 23 coming by knockout. He's going to make a defense of his IBO World Featherweight title for the second time against former IBO champ Simpui Vitika, who's got a record of 24-2. So a pretty good doubleheader there. I just think that Chris John, he says he wants to fight some other fighters. I mean, do you see him possibly moving up, in weight? Do you see him fighting, a guy like maybe, Gamboa moved up? I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Chris John doesn't do anything for me. I'm sorry. He doesn't. I'm not knocking his accomplishments. 20 defenses is great, but, come on. We got a couple of good fights this weekend coming up on the Billy C Challenge, and I want to mention a couple of them right now. Victor Ko against Emmanuel Taylor. That's taking place Friday night. Victor Ko needs to win this fight to get himself back in contention, and he's fighting Emmanuel Taylor out of Star Boxing. Emmanuel Taylor was somewhat of a later substitute, I believe, if I'm recalling correctly. He wasn't the original opponent, but then again, I could be wrong. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be a competitive fight, and that's going to definitely be part of the challenge. On Showtime, we got Keandre Leatherwood taking on Hugo Centeno Jr. in the junior middleweight division. Johnny Garcia against Oscar Ibarra. Ibarra's a tough guy. Johnny Garcia's a little tougher. HBO's got the B-Hop and Tavorius Cloud, and the co-main event, Jan Zavik against Keith One-Time Thurman in an elimination bout. And HBO Latino, it's got Juan Carlos Salgado against Argis Mendez. That's taking place. Now, remember, that was the co-main event for the Chris Arreola fight. Remember, Chris Arreola against Bermain Stavern. We got some good fights, man. A couple of good fights on the that's slated for the weekend. We had a listener ask about putting Tavorius Cloud, Bernard Hopkins, doing a post-fight show. As far as Fight Now is concerned, they haven't asked me or told me to do one yet. And me personally, I don't think it's a big enough fight. I mean, what do you guys think? You think it's a big enough fight for a post-fight show? I mean, that means I got to actually, stay up till, 1 in the morning or whatever. I don't know. What is that fight? What time is that fight? Well, that fight's on fairly early. That's, so yeah, maybe I could make it till 11. But I just don't think it's going to be a worthwhile fight, man. Alex, I think Alex asked for that. I just don't think it's a worthwhile fight. Listen, I like Tavarius Cloud, but he's not exactly an exciting fighter, and neither is Bernard Hopkins. So, I mean, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about some controversial ending because, I'll bet you right now that it's going to be a controversial ending. That's all Bernard Hopkins brings to the table lately. And I know Biggerback is going to get mad at me for knocking for him, but what do you want? Hey, Mike Tyson has been doing his one-man show since February 12th. He started his tour February 12th, and he's actually got a show scheduled for tonight in San Diego. I haven't heard one thing on any of this tour about Mike Tyson. Have any of you? Has anybody heard? Is it doing well? Is it doing bad? Is he bombing? Did he cancel it? I haven't heard one thing. Haven't seen one thing about it. And when he was in Vegas, we heard about it all the time. When he was in New York, we heard about it all. Not from Alex Papali. Remember we had Alex on. He comes in. He's going to do a report. I saw the Tyson show yesterday. I went down to New York and I saw it. And he sat near 50 Cent, and he told us all about the crowd. And every time I asked him a question about the thing, well, I don't know. I don't know if I should say that. I don't know. Like he was cutting into Mike's money. Spike Lee gave Alex a few dollars. Hey, Alex, here's a few dollars. Keep the show under your hat, will you? We need to sell tickets. Who needs tickets? Tickets. And I was like, come on, Alex, let's get popping. Come on, man. But anyway, I talked about this, and I will talk about it again. But the fantasy boxing camp is something that Bruce Silverglade from Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn does every year. And this year it's taking place August 22nd through the 25th. And, last year we talked a lot about it. Our very own Dax Khan is going to be there covering it, and we'll get the day-to-days like we did last year. But I know there's a lot of you out there that followed it and said to yourselves, man, I should have done it. I should have went and all of that. Well, now's your chance, man. You got plenty of time to make the plans. It's August 22nd through the 25th. It's at the Honors Haven Resort and Spa in Ellenville, New York, which is up in the Catskills. It's a real nice place. And I think you'll like it, man. We didn't hear one negative thing about it last year. I believe it's been going on for at least 10 or 12 years. So check it out, man. Go up to our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click one of the Gleason's Gym banners. You can't miss them. And sign up. Make sure you mention Billy C and demand a Billy C discount. You can call Gleason, 718-797-2872, and go direct. And speaking about the BillyCBoxing.com website, you may experience some sluggish performance. Apparently our numbers are going through the roof in terms of traffic, which is resulting in us moving the server. And we are scheduled to do that, I believe it's Friday. So if you go to the website, and I'm hoping that all of you have your homepage set for BillyCBoxing.com, if you experience this sluggish performance, it will be corrected. But on Friday, and it could be 24 hours or maybe a little more, if you experience some real issues like you can't get to it, it's because it's being moved to a bigger, better, and faster server. So we're here to serve you. And speaking of serving you, don't forget about Billy C's Talk to Me, Man. It's our new show. We're going to air it on Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time right here on BillyCBoxing.com. Basically, in case you have been under a rock, what this show is going to be focused on is you, your opinions, your thoughts, your comments. We are going to open up the phone lines. We are going to take one caller at a time. We are also going to be taking all the overflow emails that we get on a daily basis, and you know that it started out, we read them, it took a couple of minutes. Now it takes, half hour to an hour, depending upon everyone's thoughts and comments. So we're kind of moving them over to its own show, and I think it's going to be great to hear all the comments from you guys, and I'm going to comment on your comments. I'm thick-skinned, so if anybody disagrees with me, I'm fine. All I ask is that you do it in a professional manner. That's something that we try to maintain here at Billy C Boxing. And, I'm looking forward to it. So I promise, anybody that sends an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, it will be read either on the email segment here on the Talking Boxing with Billy C show or on Billy C's Talk to Me, Man. So we will give everybody that platform. So we hope that you get involved, and it's going to be kicking off on Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That's New York time. So that'll give everybody here on the East Coast, when they're at work, during their lunch period, a chance to lunch period sounds like school, right? During their lunchtime, man, a chance to tune in and check it out and call in and all that happy stuff. On the West Coast, you're just getting into work at that time, so you haven't started work yet. You're having your coffee and your bagel and all of that. So, hey, we're looking forward to having a good time, and that's for sure. Don't forget, March 29th, we got the Turning Stone is going to be hosting Friday Night Fights, and we got a great fight there. I'm going to be ringside, and I want you to be there, too. Buy some tickets right now, www.billycboxing.com. Click the fight poster and get yourself some tickets. They're really affordably priced, $25 ching. That's right, $25 a piece they start out at. And if you're going to show up at this card, make sure you drop me an email, and I'll be glad to make arrangements to meet you. So that'll be cool. This week with some of these fights that are going to be taking place, it makes me wonder, and especially with a lot of the criticism that's going on with Gary Russell Jr., and maybe this would be a good poll question after this week's, but would you rather see, like some of the listeners and viewers are suggesting, would you rather see a fighter that fights a couple of fights and then immediately gets thrown in above their head? Gary Russell's taking a lot of heat. I think my biggest argument for Gary is the fact that, and I admit I want to go on record as saying I admit and agree with people who say, basically the guy looks good against, garbage opponents. And that's been our discussion about fighters all along. Deontay Wilder looks great. Who's he fought? Demetrius Andrade looked great. Who'd he fight? That's the point, but that only should apply when the fighter starts pounding his chest. When the fighter starts saying he's the best, he'll beat anybody. He wants to fight a Klitschko in Deontay Wilder's case, or he wants to fight this guy or that guy. Look at Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's been known to have a bit of a mouth, and his team is progressively increasing his level of opposition. He got some training changes, and he's showing improvement. When your team is evaluating you on a daily basis and they feel that you're ready for X or Y or Z, then, you got to respect that. And remember something. In the old days, old school boxing, and T, your buddies who are old school guys, they'll get this. But in old school boxing, when you were trying to learn, let's say, to fight against a southpaw, you fought a dozen fights against southpaws. You want to fight against a southpaw fighter, a southpaw boxer, a tall southpaw, a short southpaw, a fat southpaw, a rugged southpaw, a brawler southpaw. You wanted to fight all of those styles of fighters to learn how to fight them. So, a southpaw isn't, you don't need to fight one southpaw that throws his left hand is his power punch, and then say, I know how to fight southpaws. No. In the old days, you fought a dozen fights against southpaws before you even thought that you knew anything. Well, a guy like Gary Russell, maybe that's what they're doing. Gary, we know he's got the athletic ability, and I just think that a lot of the fans are being harsh on him. Is it because of his pedigree? Is it because of his amateur background? Maybe. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's the reason people are being so hard on this kid. But I don't see a guy that's shooting off his mouth. I don't see him saying stuff. I certainly don't see him acting like a complete moron like Adrian Bronner. Now, Bronner's already got a title. Can we say that Bronner's been tested? Can we really say Bronner's been tested? Yeah, he beat a guy. I give him all kinds of credit. I think he beat one of the most underrated fighters in boxing, in Antonio DeMarco. But before that, we had the argument here. You know, the Floyd lovers said, oh, Floyd had a much harder first 25 fights than Broner did. And we evaluated them. I thought they were very similar. But Floyd had accomplished more after 25 fights. You know, we also look at the next 20 fights or so that Floyd had in 18, whatever. And, you know, that's questionable, you know, who he was fighting, how he was fighting, and all of that. And the book isn't out on Broner yet. He hasn't gotten to that point yet, you know. But the point is this. He's a champion. The question is he fully developed? Does he know how to fight every type of southpaw? Does he know how to fight every kind of come-at-you forward fighter? Does he know how to fight every brawler? You know, I would say no. He's got 26 fights under his belt. How did he master them all? You know, you look at Saul Alvarez. You know, he's got 41, 44 fights, whatever he's got. You know, yesterday Coach was in the chat room saying, well, he's old school, man. He's got 44 fights or whatever he's got. You know, that's old school. He's only 22. That's old school. Okay, it is old school. Old school fighters fought that often back in the day. But they didn't fight, you know, all bums. You know, I'm not saying bums. You know what I mean. I'm not, you know, degrading these guys. But you know, some of them are very questionable opposition that he fought to pad that record. He doesn't display to me right now. I'm talking about Alvarez, although I like him and I want to see more of him. He doesn't display that he's fully polished and you know what we see with him is the best he's going to be. I don't see that. I see room for improvement. I see room for improvement for Broner. You know, I mean, these are two young fighters that are coming up. I see room for improvement. You know, do I have to mention Andre Berto? He's a guy that got the fast track to a title, won the title, and then we're all expected to see him develop before our eyes as a champion. And we all saw what happened there. You know, so, you know, again, jumping back to Gary Russell, I don't think it's fair to jump all over this kid for, you know, taking his time. Again, if he was bragging, shooting off his mouth and saying he was the best ever, you know, I'm the best in my division, I'm the champion, I'm the future. If he was saying all of that, maybe I'd have a different opinion. But he's not. So I say, hey, he's young, give him the time.
Wake up. It's time for the
It's Too Early for a Trivia Question.
Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question. Question is being sponsored by Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, New York. Check them out. They got 3 locations, one in Brooklyn, one in Manhattan, and one in Jersey Shore. Give them a call today, 718-797-2872, 718-797-2872. Don't forget about the Fantasy Boxing Camp, August 22nd through the 25th. Demand a Billy C discount. And in case you're wondering about all the other activities going on at Gleason's, it's real simple. All you got to do is visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click the go down to the bottom, go all the way down to the bottom, and you will see the whole schedule of what's going on at Gleason's. A lot of stuff from white-collar boxing, amateur tournaments, workout, special Muhammad Ali dance workout classes, and even pro wrestling. So check it out. Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question, which is being provided to us by the Trivia Question guru himself, Henry Haskup, was a tricky one, and I love it, too, by the way. Which fight was the first to use 4 ropes? Which fight was the first to use 4 ropes? If you know this answer, email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. Which fight was the first to use 4 ropes? Email me the correct answer, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Good luck to everyone on that.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. That's right. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. Tell them Billy C sent you, man. 845-221-4099. On this day, March 5th, in 1965, you know, this was actually the prelude of yesterday's This Day in Boxing History. On this day, March 5th, in 1965, Ernie Terrell wins a 15-round decision over Eddie Machen to win the vacant WBA World Heavyweight title, and that took place on this day, March 5th, in 1965, in Chicago, man. Also on this day, I'll give you a little bonus. Back in 1913, March 5th, 1913, Frank Klaas beats Billy Papke via a fifth-round disqualification to win the vacant world middleweight title, and that took place in 1913 on this day in Paris, France. That's right, Paris, France. You know, I mentioned the Papke fight with Klaas because, you know, disqualified in the 15th round. You know, we don't even have fights going 15 anymore, you know, and the fight was disqualified in the 50. And that means it was either a fight to the finish or it was a 20-round fight. So, anyway. Hey, man, I got one other thing to say. You know what it is? Guess what? Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Well, there's only one channel. It's the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider right now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call. I don't care if it's cable or satellite dish. Tell them that you want Fight Now right now. For all the information about the channel, you can find it on the website, www.fightnow.com. Hey, see you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.